Good afternoon or good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this very exciting workshop. We've been quite ready and looking forward to it on cost management. And AFRAA is staging this workshop with one of our esteemed partners, Maureva. We have quite some good level of interest from our airlines. For this workshop, we have received 38 airlines. So I want to thank each one and every one of you for registering for the workshop. We hope that we will meet your expectations for this workshop. From the registrations, we are happy to have Africa Airways, Air Algeria, Air Botswana, Air Djibouti, Air Mauritius, Air Peace, Air Senegal, Air Tanzania, Sky, Astral Aviation, quite a number of registrations there. We have also Africa World Airlines in Ghana, Cameco, Egypt Air, Eswatini Air, Ethiopian Airlines, Fly Gabon, Kenya Airways, LAM Mozambique, Mauritania Airlines, Overland Airways, Phoenix Aviation, Precision Air, ProFlight Zambia, Renac, Renegade Air, Royal Airways, Rwanda Air, South African Airways, Safari Link, Sudan Airways, TAG Angola Airlines, and Uganda Airlines. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We want to ensure that this workshop gives you quite the level of insights that you expect on managing costs. Airline costs are usually very important to focus on, and the reason being that African environment is a very high cost environment for airlines. And looking at the figures for the year 2024, it's the first time since the year 2010 that African Airlines recorded an average profit, and the profit was only 90 US cents per passenger. For the year 2025, the estimate is going to be that African collectively will have an average of $1 US net profit per passenger. So this is really thin. It's a rather thin profit level for African Airlines, hence the importance of the need to focus on costs. If you can manage our costs from our experts today, we will learn how that $1 can be increased, because there are very many areas where airlines don't have visibility. Maybe the airlines are not using some digital solutions that can help in your cost management and thereby enhancing the revenue. And before we start, just to give a few housekeeping announcements, the webinar will run for about 1 hour, 15 minutes. We shall have 3 presentations from experts, and after each presentation, we will open the floor for question and answers. So how we'll run the show is, if you have a question when the presentation is going on, please use the Q&A tab to post your question. And then after each presentation, the presenter will have an opportunity to address your questions. And at the tail end of the webinar, we shall have an open forum where, if there are any unanswered and from Nouvelle AirTunisie, that will be the opportunity for us to ensure we address those. So don't go home, don't leave this webinar with any unanswered questions. To take you through the agenda, we shall start with welcome remarks by the Secretary General of AFRAA, Mr. Abderrahman Berté, and also from who is the Sales Director. Then we shall have the first presentation, which will be explaining why is direct operation cost management, optimization important for an airline. And we shall have this done by our expert, Ms. Dana from Maureva. She is the business development manager. Then the next couple of presentations shall be made by Jean-Marc. The first one is going to introduce onto direct operation cost management, cost calculations, budget, forecast, and accruals. Jean-Marc will also explain in detail invoice control, return on investment, cost reduction, fraud prevention, ERP integration, invoice validation, claims management, and business intelligence reporting. Then, after we finish with the two presentations from our Maureva experts, we have one of our AFRAA members, Nouvelle AirTunisie, who will do their use case. We'll get to know their before and after, before they got to have this digital solution on cost management. How was the situation at the airline? What were the benefits, and how is the airline faring? This is really important because we get to hear from the horse's mouth on their experience. And this shall be done by Mr. Ramzi Fazzi, who is the Director, Information Systems at Nouvelle AirTunisie. From there, we shall have a chance to ask Ramzi any questions from the side of the airline on their experience. And after that, then we shall have the open forum and we shall close the webinar. To introduce our experts who will give more details about their profiles, our first expert is Mr. Jean-Marc Perrault, Sales Director, Maureva. Our second expert is Miss Dana Anmugam, who is the Business Development Manager at Maureva. Our third expert, Mr. Ramzi Fazzi, Director, Information Systems at Nouvelle AirTunisie. So to start off, we shall have remarks from Mr. Abderrahmane Bete, the Secretary General of AFRAA.
Thank you, Maureen. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to thank members of AFRAA attending this very important workshop today. And I want to thank Maureva, one of AFRAA partners, and Nouvelle Air presenting also during this webinar. The theme today, cost management, is very important because profit of an airline come from the revenues minus the cost. And cost management is very important because margins are very thin in our industry. So you need to control your cost and also to optimize costs. When I talk about costs for airlines, you have the fuel, you have a lot of fuel providers. According to the size of your network, you have ground handling. No ground handling invoice will be the same to another because the services around the ground handling are many, and navigation charges. So you really need to have a way to control the invoices you are paying. By experience, I know that in many airlines, they are paying for what they don't know. They have not really controls. They don't have a comprehensive cost management system. That's the reason why when Maureva approached us with this solution, we were really very interested because we think that it can make a difference for our members, because our mandate is not only to increase revenues, but also to contain the cost for our member airlines. So I hope that this webinar will be very fruitful for our members. They will learn about the solution proposed by Maureva. And I wish all of us a very, very good workshop. Thank you very much. Over to you, Maureen.
Thank you very much, Abderrahmane, for the opening remarks. And before we continue with the rest of the remarks, ladies and gentlemen, just to invite you to use the chat box. You can mention to us what are the specific pain points you experience in terms of cost management. How are you doing it at your airline? And also, if you have some expectations that you have out of this webinar, please post that on the chat box. I'll be reading that as we continue the webinar to ensure that we are directly addressing those needs. And we hope that by the end of the discussion, we shall be able to really do a deep dive and give you the expert views on all the questions that you may have. Our next remarks will be from Maureva. I now invite Jean-Marc Perrault to make his remarks. Jean-Marc.
Thank you, Maureen. Thank you, Abderrahman. So yeah, I think most of you knows already Maureva. We were a bit known for the revenue accounting side, and traditionally, you know, in all the conference and when you are talking with the airline, everyone is focusing on revenue and on passenger. Everyone is talking about are we back to the traffic before COVID, after COVID. Unfortunately, as said by Abderrahman, and we will see that in detail with Dana, the margins are very thin. And really, everyone is focusing on getting more passenger on board, increase the revenue per passenger. But unfortunately, that's not enough today. And really decreasing the cost and managing the cost of the airline are every day more and more important, because we realize that the revenue increase when the planes are full. What makes the difference is in fact when you are able to control your costs. So this is really the purpose of this subject and this seminar today, to look at how we can increase the profitability of the airline by managing directly the direct operating costs, which is really the focus of this seminar. So I think everyone knows the terms DOCS, DOC. There's an IATA groups for that also. And this is concerning mainly all the direct operating costs of the airline. And we will see what we can put in this under this name, and we'll see the details and how we can help the airline to manage those costs and improve their profitability. So I will leave the floor to Dana. We'll start exploring what's the current situation and how we can progress and improve the management of the docks. Thanks, Dana. Over to you.
Thank you, Jean-Marc. Let me share my screen with you. I think you're all able to see my screen here.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So thank you for the quick introduction. Thank you to AFRAA for giving us the opportunity to talk today. I think we had a very good introduction of the topic by both AFRAA and Jean-Marc. And it's interesting as well, before we deep dive into the session of DOC control, cost control and management, to look into the figures as mentioned by Maureen as well. So, and really put us within the context of why DOC, direct operating cost, is important for an airline, and deep dive into the African market, relating it to the African context today. So let me share some financial results here, showing the trend in the net profit, both globally and for the African market. In 2023 and 2024, the net profit for Africa was constant, that is $0.1 billion USD. While globally, there has been a progress of 13% from 2023 to 2024, resulting to a net profit of $31.5 billion USD in 2024 for the global market. The forecasted figure, as per IATA for 2025, they are projecting an increase of $0.2 billion USD from previously $0.1 billion USD in 2024. It means that there is a 100% increase which is a very reassuring figure for African market. And let's take a look at the projected net profit globally for 2025, 36 billion USD. And I think it's clear that there is a huge gap between the African market and the global industry figure. But I do agree with you that we are not comparing the exact market here, which is fair enough. And again, on the right side, you can also see the projection by region. The closest region in terms of net profit forecast is Latin America with 1.1 billion USD. Moving on to this slide. This slide shows the per passenger profit forecast in 2025. The global figures showing a profit forecast per passenger at 7 USD, while the forecasted figure for the African market is 1.3 USD. So if you do a quick working, you will note that Africa only represents 1/5 of the global profit yield per passenger. Having seen the trend of Africa compared to the rest of the region, I think we already know the reason why the market today is behind compared to others. The answer, as you've said it, Jean-Marc, as well, the answer to that is cost. The constantly, as mentioned by Mr. Berthe as well, the constantly rising cost factor within the airline industry, which hugely impacts the profitability. Let's take a look at this pie chart, which breaks down an airline's cost items, all the cost items related to an airline, the fuel, the ground handling, the airport charges, the operating costs, the administration, etc., as you can see here on the screen. And this screen also highlights, this pie chart also highlights that direct operating cost, which regroups fuel, ground handling, airport charges, navigation charges, crew expenses, etc., makes up about 50% of total operating cost in an airline, dominated by fuel expenses, which represent 30% of total cost. Now, going back to why DOC matters so much and why even so in Africa, some of the key reasons are that fuel costs are disproportionately high in Africa, while globally fuel represents, as you can see on the screen here, around 25 to 28% of operating cost. Here the source is from ICAO, and because fuel is such a big element of DOC, any variance in the fuel price will have a huge impact on airlines. Another study done by IATA for Africa, whereby it was noted that fuel prices for the African carriers were about 17% higher than the global average price. And on that same report, it was mentioned that African airlines spent an additional 12 to 15% on taxes and fees, 10% more on navigation charges. So in essence, this pie chart is illustrating that keeping an aircraft flying, all your direct operating cost, is the largest cost bucket for airlines globally. And in Africa, this bucket is even more critical because of structurally higher cost, weaker scales, for some airlines, older fleets sometimes, higher fuel and lease cost, and also heavier regulatory tax burdens. Now, let's take a look at the whole context of direct operating cost management. And I think many of you will relate to this slide. And this slide will also showcase some pain points, as you mentioned, Maureen, that you face today. So, given the numbers of suppliers or providers that an airline works with all along the journey of a flight, the number of invoices that you receive per month, per flight, or per aircraft registration is an average of 40 to 50 invoices per aircraft per month. Now, each of these invoices most of the time on a PDF format, has an amount and a line detail. How do you know what measures have been used to calculate that amount? Or do you even have a process internally for verification? The multiple parameters that have been used based on the item that has been invoiced, and then the complexity of the workings behind the invoiced amount. Today, an airline has multiple stations and invoices are thus scattered. No centralization of invoices. It means that there is lack of visibility on your cost. And if you have lack of visibility, controlling it becomes difficult. And this may lead to an invoice not being checked before being processed for payment. So complex cost calculation, multiple parameters, decentralization, limited or no visibility into your cost, etc., etc. And one interesting fact is that today we have around 1,200 airlines around the world. Less than 500 of them are doing invoice control and management. Out of these 500, many of them, they have developed some in-house system for DOC control, and others are using providers. So there are still today 700 airlines not doing any control, probably to the reasons that I've mentioned, that is the complexity of verifying, processing, and managing your invoices. Leading on to this next slide. From the complexity that we have seen, one important factor to take note is that centralization of all your information is important. This factor is not only related to DOC, but it's a general factor. But as long as all your information, all your data are centralized, it becomes easier for you to implement some basic control. There is one point again I would like to highlight, is that if your invoice are not centralized, by the time your finance team receives the invoice, the terms of payment linked to that invoice becomes shorter. And what happens is that the team, they do not have enough time to do the checks, the general checks, to see whether the invoiced amount is correct. They will have to proceed with the payment to prevent penalties linked to delayed payment. Thus, again, no verification or no control, which may lead to open doors to fraud or sometimes create some blind spots that you're not able to see, you're not able to notice until it leads to some wrong consequences. And we have seen at the beginning in the pie chart how much represents DOC for an airline. If you take a look at the figures here on the same screen on the right-hand side, as an example of a fleet of 11 aircraft, the approximate amount of DOC invoiced for a period of 10 months, split over around 600 invoices, is 250 million USD. With just 1% error rate, airlines can generate an approximate of 2,500 claims over that period. And I think the figures are very interesting. And again, I would ask you to try to do that exercise on your end and see how much you're missing out in terms of profitability. And this would be a good start for you. So I talked about some pain points of an airline for DOC management, where you receive an invoice, around 40 to 50 per aircraft per month. Another fact is that today, 80% of invoices are still paper PDF invoices. So a cost controller today needs to check the paper invoice received from the supplier and match it probably with an Excel sheet that he has, and over that manually process the invoice in the ERP. Or sometimes refer this paper invoice to contracts that he have and try to see, read, interpret the contracts, whether he has been properly invoiced. So I'll let you imagine how long it can take for you to control one invoice. And we all know that manual intervention are prone to errors. At this stage of our discussion, and I think we have a very, very interesting audience with us today, it would be good to have an idea of whether you have visibility on your cost. And this leads me to our first poll here. And the question is, do you have good visibility on your cost? You have, I think, 1 minute and a few options here. First one is yes, we track all major costs in real time. Second one, partially we track some cost, the biggest one, probably fuels. The third option being no, we only have aggregated or monthly cost on an Excel sheet. Or last option, we do not track any at this point in time. So after 1 minute, we will see the answers to this first poll, and then we can continue.
Thank you very much. The poll is closed.
Okay.
The results are shared.
Thank you. Okay. So 41% says that we partially track only some cost. Yes, because fuel is a huge chunk of your cost, I can imagine. And then the next one being, yes, we track all major costs in real time. Very good. Yes, Excel sheets, and 15% we do not track at this level. Okay, and I think, yes, you see the pain of really controlling your invoice, of how much time it takes you today to have the processes in place, to make people respect, check, control, whether the invoice is good and whether the workings used behind for that invoice is correct. I don't know if you would like to add something here, Jean-Marc, at this point in time, or we keep it for the end.
I think that's some interesting statistics reflecting, I guess, the PDF type of paper PDF invoice, unfortunately, where we know it's not because of the people, it's not because of knowledge, it's mainly because it's taking time with no tools, and certainly reflecting that, yes, you need to focus where suddenly you see a big gap in what you are used to pay. So this is normally most of the airline will focus on something which suddenly attract their attention, and on the big number. So big number, yes, it's fuel, it's it would be the big invoice coming every month. So there certainly it's getting more attention, where the small one will go through the daily job and will be approved and paid. Where certainly, unfortunately, there are also mistakes, and we will see that a bit later on.
Thank you. So continuing on the next slide for me. Oops. Okay, here we go. So we have seen the current status of the African market. We have seen the pain points and an approximate amount of error rate that may occur. Now let's look at how we can improve the processes. So first, due to processes being very manual, decentralized, and scattered, it is important to start looking at how you can digitalize the cost control process that you have. But first of all, you have to put in place some processes internally, some control processes internally. Manual controls, due to the number of invoices that you receive and the complexity of verifying the amount, leads to high processing cost. That is, having more persons to control and process the invoices. In this AI era, where data is becoming more important, having 100% or full visibility on your cost have many advantages, such as easier budgeting exercise and many budgeting exercise throughout the year, and more appropriate forecast. Having your facts and figures correct leads to high impact on your end profitability. And above being able to recover wrongly invoiced amount, you strengthen your negotiation position with your supplier. You are able to tell your supplier, see, you have wrongly invoiced me, the amount is not correct, and make more informed strategic decisions internally. And another advantage is that the cost of processing is reduced, leading to improved productivity and optimized manpower utilization, thus improving your operational efficiency. Which leads me to the last slide from my side. So finally, achieving 100% invoice verification, transforming your manual business process to digital processes. The processing cost is reduced to achieve operational efficiency. Then have the most accurate cost per aircraft registration, leading ultimately to route profitability and reduced any cost leakage that you may have. So that's it from my side. Over to you, Jean-Marc.
Dana, I think before you switch over to Jean-Marc, we have a couple of questions for your presentation before Jean-Marc can take the floor. So I can read them from the chat box. We have Surabhel Oldeab, I hope I've pronounced it well, who is the general manager of there's an airline called Transnation Airways. And the question is, tell us the biggest hidden drive of direct operation costs that we as airlines often overlook.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jean-Marc, I think it would be double invoicing, probably. Sometimes you do not have the possibility to check if you have been invoiced. If you do not have a centralized process, everything is not centralized internally, you are not able to check whether this invoice has already been paid previously. So I think, imagine the case of a fuel invoice where your supplier is charging you twice for an invoice and the amount linked to that invoice. So I think that would be from my opinion, the reason.
I would just add that, yes, Dana is right. If we look at the amount of potential saving, unfortunately, due to the amount of the fuel invoice, when you do a mistakes in one invoice, you all know that suddenly the number will be big. So either you will pay these mistakes or you can save it. So if we take the example of a dupe invoice, of course the amount saved is very high. The fact is that the number of mistakes made on the fuel are very low, but the impact is big. If we look the country who is representing the biggest amount of number of mistakes, certainly the airports, the ground handling side is certainly the champion. We will see that when we'll come to the potential reporting, because you have daily lot of events coming around your plane, and in each station you are operating. So the number of potential mistakes is very high, where the amount to be saved could be small. But again, there is no small saving to be ignored. You know, if you had 1,000 plus 1,000 and 10 times a day, at the end, that will be also some money to be saved. And any dollar saved is directly impacting the potential profitability improvement. So I I think you need to consider everything. Of course, when you will find a saving on fuel, everyone will jump, saying, yes, we made it, and suddenly you can save in one shot $20,000 or euro. But daily, the tools can save also 1,000 several times per year, per day, because the same event can happen everywhere in all the stations you are serving. So really, that's a global image you need to improve, and to focus on any type of invoice, and small amount can make big river.
Thank you, Jean-Marc. And the second part of the question from Surabhel, I think this is more on the aspect of operational strategy, which ask which area offers the quickest wins in reducing direct operation costs without impacting safety. I think this is more on an operational strategy point of view. Are you able to take that one, Jean-Marc?
Yeah, I think you will see that having a very good idea, you will see what's the principle of the solution. In fact, we will base the cost calculation on the operational event. So every time the plane will do something or consume a type of service, we will calculate the cost without any focus to the invoice. So knowing the invoice, knowing how much it will cost per service with a very deep detail on any type of event, and of course on the provider is providing that, you will have very good element when you will renegotiate the contract with this provider, because you will know exactly if this provider is charging you exactly what he's supposed to charge. So there is I would say a standard level of mistakes which is approved and considered as normal, and we will see that something around 0.5% of the global docks. So if your provider is staying in this side of the mistakes, I think it will be fine. If suddenly the first time you start auditing the invoice, you can discover that this guy is making 3 or even sometime more 3 or 3.5% of mistakes, you can have a doubt, and certainly you will be able to negotiate, saying, sir, auditing your invoice, it looks like that there are a lot of things who are not right. So either certainly first the price, you will be in very good position to negotiate, and certainly you will see also that those mistakes will have tendency to disappear, because suddenly the guys will discover that you found a way to control in the invoice and to fight the mistakes much more easily than before. So you will see that this number will come back to a standard number between 1% and 0.05% of your total docs. So that's certainly the way I'm seeing it. The other side of it will be having a very good idea of the cost calculation, even on forecast flight. When you are, for example, if you are trying to estimate what could be the price of a shorter exercise, if you are renting, or if you are the one providing the plane for a company who wants to rent it, you will have a very good way of calculate exactly what could be the cost of operating that your route, even if those routes are not in your own network, you know. So sometimes it's quite difficult to estimate what could be the cost operating an airport which you don't know and where you don't know the provider. And that will be something we will explain a bit later.
Okay, thank you, Jean-Marc. We have a comment from Alex Odwong from Uganda Airlines, and his comment is, additional signing contracts with escalation clauses will increase your cost besides all the challenges raised in regards to poor systems. Is that right?
Sorry.
Yeah, it says additional signing of contracts with escalation clauses will increase your costs besides all the challenges raised in regards to poor systems.
Yeah, in fact, you will see that because the tools will have exactly the contract detail and the rules to apply in the contract when invoicing. you will see that, of course, when you are claiming an amount to the provider, you will have all the detail and it will be documented. You will see with Ramzi example a bit later that from the amount of invoice claim to the provider, he is receiving a very good level of return. I think not to say mistake, but we'll see that in detail with Ramzi. I think 87% of what has been claimed is paid by the provider, which means that really when it's well documented, when you prove that the mistake is wrong, the mistake is real, and there's an error behind in the weight, in the double invoice, and whatever will be the type of mistakes, when it is documented, you know, the number of rejection will decrease.
Okay, thank you. And from Jeremy Cisia, he asked, do you have estimated costs that African Airlines should be incurring? This one, Jeremy is from ProFlight Zambia. And then his other question is regarding the costs. It was mentioned that fuel in Africa is 17% higher than the world's average fuel cost. So he's also asking, why is this the case?
I think it's not very, it's not easy to answer. Unfortunately, the provider are abusing a bit the African airline, and there's a kind of tendency, perhaps coming from the past, where it was easy to overcharge African carrier for the same service charge outside Africa. I think thanks to AFRAA and different initiatives to negotiate and to show off that the airline in Africa are now the tools to negotiate, that they are qualified on security side, on the airport level of service and so on, and that they have to pay the service at the right price, and certainly not higher than before. I think that number was much higher in the past. It's still over, which is not normal. I fully agree. But certainly, I think it's going down, and certainly it's a daily fight for all the airlines in Africa. Perhaps helped by some association like AFRAA to push the case. I know that Abderrahman has been one of the key guys to fight again overcharge in Africa in certain subjects, the taxes and different issues like that. I know it's a daily fight, unfortunately. At least Maureva on our side, we will give you the right price to be paid on what has been invoiced. The level of pricing you are paying certainly is not at our level, but if we can help, we will provide the right figure. That's for sure.
Yeah, you're right. For Africa specifically, it's a high cost environment. Therefore, you find that many costs across the board, it's much higher. We have high taxes and charges, and in some countries, they also add the extra tax on fuel. So, and also to add the aspect of the supply chain challenges. So this one leads to high cost of fuel in Africa. Even in some countries that are producing oil, we still find that in the same countries, the cost of fuel is still high comparatively to the other continents. And then the other question that Jeremy Cisia had asked is the slide that Dana you had shared with airline cost breakdown. Do you have a similar cost breakdown for Africa? Because this one will be the global average. Because Africa being high cost, most likely the pie chart with the various percentage of costs will be different. Do you have something like that from Maureva?
I do not have it right now to share with you, but I think we can work on an estimate based on studies that have been done. It can be worked out, and I do not have right now anything to share with you, but it has to be appropriate, correct figures based on, as I said, studies. Maybe this is something that we, along with AFRAA, we can work on it together.
Okay.
It would be a very interesting thing to provide to African airlines.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think one of the answers is certainly that the image is giving you the percentage, you know. Certainly, unfortunately, the African carrier, the price and the global price which should have been paid is different and certainly over compared to other continents. But the percentage are certainly very close, you know. But the total amount paid by the African carrier will be higher because your price are higher. But when we come back to the percentage of what represent fuel, what represent airport charge, and so on, I think globally it will not vary a lot, you know, versus someone in Europe or in Asia. The percentage is certainly very similar. The total amount is certainly higher because of the price.
Thank you. And certainly it will be of interest if we could develop the percentage for Africa and maybe do a paper on it, and we can publish that with Maureva. So in the interest of time, we want to do the second presentation by Jean-Marc, and you already have the slides on the screen. We will come back to you, Surabhel, with your question. Desta Getane will come back to you on the question, and let's give the floor to Jean-Marc for the next presentation.
Thank you, Maureen. So we come back. We have seen the floor. We have seen why we should implement a doc solution to manage the cost, and we'll start digging on how we are doing it and what are the different steps to make it. So on the screen you have globally what are the different charge and services burned and utilized by your airline at different station or in the air. So I think you all know all the provider and all the type of service we are speaking of here. You all know also that all those services will be provided by different provider, and unfortunately we all know that any provider are not using the same type of invoice. Sometimes the language will be different if you start flying over continent. Sometimes each country will use its own way of making the calculation. If we are looking to the ATC invoice, for example, particularly each country is using its own calculation way to give you what would be the price to be paid when you are overflying over their country. So all those things are making very complex the work of the invoice controller, and mainly reinforcing what Dana was saying, that particularly it's impossible to control by hand all the invoice. So really the idea is to implement a cost management solution, and we will focus with this solution on the DOC, direct operating cost, which were on the screen before: fuel, ground handling, airport, navigation charge, crew, hotel, catering, cargo, and we could add more to that. You need to note that for time being, we are not concentrating on maintenance charge. That could be something for the future, but for now, we are really concentrating on this scope. So how are we doing the exercise? As you start understanding, we are ignoring a bit at the beginning the invoice. And first exercise will be to calculate what is the cost of your operation. So we will base all the cost calculation based on your flight activity. To do that, we need to collect all your parameters, your basic reference to feed the database. So your aircraft parameters, using your noise certificate, for example, we will have the type of engine, will have your weight, the size of the aircraft, all the elements which will be used by any provider to charge you one services. So you know more than me that, for example, the weight of the aircraft, the size of the aircraft will be used to calculate when you are paying the parking stand in one airport and so on. On the other side, when you have all your fleet entered in the system, of course, all the type per aircraft, we will have all the detail of your fleet. The other key element will be the pricing. So the pricing is coming from the contract you are using. So you know that there are public contracts, mainly the airport, the ATC are public. You know also that all the airports in the world are publishing their new price for the next season, for the next year. It depends of the airport. Sometimes they publish it 2 times a year. Some it can be more than that. Some it can be 1 time a year. Sometimes it's quite difficult to get the latest publication. Sometimes even something which is written in the paper is not really used the way it is invoiced, and so on. Everything means that for the airline, it's quite difficult to manage all those contracts and to keep them updated in your own database. There we are speaking only on the private side. Of course, you have also all on the public side. Of course, you are using also private contract. Private contract will be all the contract you are signing with your ground handler, with your fuel provider, with the hotel, and so on. So you need also to get all those contracts captured and digitalized in the database. In fact, to be able to calculate costs. So here you can see very quickly that when you will have your flight activity, the list of service which will be used, having on the other side the contract side, the contract detail in the database, we are able with all those elements to calculate exactly what will be the cost of your operation. It could be what is forecasted when you are publishing your flight schedule for next summer. It could be for any exercise of simulation. If I want to add a flight in middle of the week, for example, in a destination where I'm flying only over the weekend, it could be also to compare what could be the cost of using a type of aircraft versus another. If you have just the choice in your fleet and you want to add a flight, perhaps you don't need a big aircraft in the middle of the week because you know that the demand will be lower. So, you know, all those assumptions, normally you will know that using, of course, an Airbus 19 will be cheaper in cost than a 777, but by how much, you know? Here you will have the detail at the dollar level, and that's really helpful for you to calculate exactly what could be the cost of any assumption in your schedule. So being able to calculate the cost, you will be able to calculate the budget and any forecasting exercise. So when you will have the commercial, I know that in the room there are quite a lot of people who are working on the commercial side. When you will have your new version of the schedule, your work would be to feed the aircraft and to give a potential estimation of the revenue. In front of that, you will need to have an estimation of the cost of the operation. More detailed it will be and more precise it will be, better will be the cost calculation and of course the budget exercise, allowing you to calculate what could be the profitability of your schedule. So you can see the interest of the things. I know that there are some finance manager, there are some people working on the schedule in the list of people who registered. When you will be at that level making your forecast schedule, when will come the budget exercise to put a price on what could be this new operation, with the tools like Keops, you will be able to click on one button, and particularly in few minutes, you will have any simulation on the budget, which will be made by the tools. So that's really something very powerful and very helpful when you are at that level. I know it very well to have been in that position in my previous line in airline. So I know that instead of staying alive all the night to make the calculation on a version of the budget which will be changed tomorrow morning, you can click on a button and get the result in a few minutes. That's very powerful. So when you have your budget, you will need to send the accruals in your ERP. And you know that it's very important to manage the cash of the airline or any company, and to know when you will have to pay something and how much and to who. So the beauty of the solution is that when you will have decided that this is something which will be published as a schedule, I will be able to send accruals to my ERP to start making some provision when I will have to engage the payment and to exit some cash out of the bank to pay the different service provider. So that's something which is also a very complex exercise and key exercise to be managed for the airline. Having calculated the cost, finally, we will start checking the invoice. So you can see certainly now how we will do, having calculated in all the detail what will be the cost of the exercise per services at the dollar level. When I will receive the invoice from the different provider, I will be able to match what has been charged by the provider and what has been calculated by the cost. The beauty of the cost calculated is, first, of course, you are making some assumption and you are making a forecasted cost. But as soon as start receiving real data from the operation, and we'll see that will be interfaced with your flight operation. So every time your plane will move and will do something, we'll know exactly what service is engaged and how much it will be charged. So we will have the image of the cost and the exact service, how much, how long has been burned, how many fuel has been reloaded in each station. When we are receiving the invoice, you can automatically see that I will be able to match what has been charged by the provider and what has been calculated. And I will see what are the differences. I will generate some documentation around why there is a difference. And I will be able to validate the invoice. Validating the invoice will mean that I will approve a certain level of payment. You know, an invoice, I would say 92% will be approved because everything is matching on what has been calculated by CURBS. And the 8% remaining will generate a claim sent automatically by the tools to the provider, linked with a documentation explaining why there's a mistake. Could be on the weight, it could be a double charge, and will reference to the number and the type of invoice and so on. So that's exactly the way we will do and how we will control the invoice. You know, like me, that there are paper invoice or PDF invoice who are still representing 80% of what you are receiving, and there are electronic invoice. Certainly the initiative of IATA and different big airline, big airport is to push the electronic invoicing using a single format. That's still not the case, but it's progressing every year. You will see that using a tool like CURBS, it's really simplifying the work of the invoice controller to match the invoice with what has been calculated by CURBS and to automatically find what is the discrepancy and to generate the claim. When the claim is generated and you have identified the gaps, we are transmitting to the ERP the validation of the invoice, and it will generate the payment of the invoice and the generation of the claim directly to the provider. This can be, of course, linked to the airline procedure. You will decide what has to be approved and by who, and what could be the level of, I will say, some gap you could say some airlines, for example, are saying everything below $30. I want it to be automatically approved by the tools, and everything over $30, I want to see it. That's something which is your decision, and the tool will always respect what are the procedure and follow exactly what has been decided by the tools. Let's look at what are some steps in the process. So we talk about the different contracts. Maureva is updating everything which is public. The airline or Maureva can maintain all the private side. This tariff update is really key to be able to calculate exactly what has to be charged by the provider. So there's some process to be sure that every change in the contract side, on public side or in the private side, is updated in the solution to be sure that when we are calculating a cost, we are always referencing to the right price and the right condition. The budget, so that's a key exercise. I already talked a lot, but certainly you know that in the airline that's very important to calculate the budget exercise. Budget will means revenue and will means cost, and that will be key in the exercise of projecting what could be the profitability of the airline or a new route or a new destination. Of course, you can go down using any KPI. It could be by country, by flight, per type of aircraft, by per airport, per country, whatever will be really the KPI you want to use. We can go down because the database will store all the data. Of course, we are considering the different exchange rate in the tools, and that will be coming from your ERP. So in fact, we will use exactly what your finance are using as a reference for the currency exchange rate. Accrual cost, I think it's clear here that's very important to engage the soonest and to have the provision when you will have to exit some cash out of the bank to pay. And as soon as you have a budget which is approved with a schedule which will be launched and distributed in the different solution, could be GDSs, it could be NDC, your partner, your own airline, your GSA, and so on. That's really key to know what will be the cost engaged and when you will have to pay the different providers. So this exercise is really key and will be automatized by the solution as soon as you will approve an image of schedule, meaning also an image of cost. Automatically, your ERP will know what will be type of service, and they will have all the contract conditions, and they will have a very good image on when and how much you have to engage to support the schedule. Invoice control, we will use different type of interface. You will see that, of course, most of the paper, the invoice are coming as a paper or as a PDF. We are using with some airline OCR solution, but we are not scanning all the invoice. You know, all the exercise and the tests which has been made over different airline and solution are showing that the full scan of the invoice is not efficient. What we are doing, in fact, as KEOPS is having already all the detail of the potential invoice, and we can recreate exactly the same type of invoice sent by your provider. In fact, we will capture only the header of the invoice. So we'll be sure that this is the provider name. We have the period, we have the invoice number. So we know exactly what type of service, and we can recreate exactly the invoice in KEOPS to help the flight controller to retrieve what are the big number in the invoice to control them. So that's really how the invoice control is working. really helped by the solution. On the other side, of course, when it's an electronic invoice, the tools can handle practically everything automatically, and that's one of the objectives fixed by our biggest customer, to increase the number of invoice processed automatically by the tools without any human intervention. Of course, there are a lot of reporting issued after, but really that's the final goal, to give time to the flight controller to really to focus on the key and difficult case. Analytics, you can imagine that having this type of solution, you will get tetragiga of data, and the difficulty is to report what has been done and to use all those data for your different services. So you can see on the screen, we will have data on a lot of type of parameters and the solution use and key factor in the airline. I will show you a bit later what type of reporting we could use. We are using a BI solution using Tableau technology here. And finally, in the key process of KEOPS, we need to integrate with different solutions. The first integration, which is mandatory, is to integrate with the flight operation system. So any flight scheduling, crew scheduling, reservation system to get the passenger figures. We need to, as you have now understood, that KEOPS is relying on the activity of the airline. We need to know what your plane is doing. So the best solution for that is your flight scheduling, because it will track before, at the forecast time, and during the real time, where is the plane, what the plane is doing. Is it on the ground, on the parking, running on the runway, in the air, what type of service are used at the moment, and so on. So the integration is really key. So we are receiving all those data either via a message we are capturing in an FTP server, or it could be an API collecting the data directly from your flight scheduling system. And of course, on the other side, we will need to feed and to interface with your ERP solution. So those are potentially the key integration, which will be mandatory to be set to have the solution working. I think that's time for another pool of questions to look at how you are doing at the moment with your invoice process. Maureen, will it be sent?
Team to launch the poll.
Yes.
So as the poll question gets launched and filled up.
Okay, they are there.
Yep.
So again, you will have, let's say, 1 minute to put an answer to this type of question. That's mainly for everyone to understand how you are currently processing your invoice validation. Again, if you have other question, of course, you can send them to the chat.
And also on the Q&A, Jean-Marc, we have quite a number of them, so you might need to grab some.
So we'll keep them for the Q&A. Yeah, you're right,
yes.
Because after we have a Ramzi presentation.
Yes. So we are about to close the poll, and the poll is ended. Screen sharing of the results. Over to you, Jean-Marc.
I think that's quite interesting. Manual process is unfortunately the winner, and that's not a surprise. That's not to say you are bad and something is right. You know, this is the situation of many carriers in the world. Unfortunately, solution to manage dock up to recently were mainly used by tier 1 carrier. And there is a big why for that, because of the price. The solution were very expensive till now, and particularly out of the game for smaller carrier who are having to focus on many other things than looking to the invoice, which is unfortunately a key aspect of the cost for the airline. But so, you know, the market has evaluated, the techniques has evaluated. You have new solution in the market, and certainly it's time now for anyone. There is no more limit. Any carrier with 2 aircraft and over should control its cost. You know, there's a direct impact on the profitability of the airline. So you have two aircraft or 20 aircraft. At the end, if you don't control your invoice and your cost, you are paying services for something which is not due. So the manual process is really showing that first, that's a big number still present in the current assembly, and showing that there are potential improvement to be made. And centralized at the head office, 32% is also reflecting, you know, the market, and certainly where we can improve also a lot of things, implementing a central solution, at least to collect all the data in the central point. I think we can move on. We'll take the question at the end. So what are the benefits of implementing a solution? On the budget side, I think you start imagining that when you are creating a budget early, when you work on the schedule for next year, you are making a lot of assumption when you have no tools giving you precise figure. And I can tell you that I have been in that case in my previous life. So when you are issuing a budget 6 months in advance or 1 year in advance, unfortunately, when you start receiving the real data, any airline will have the figures which are shown on the left side of the screen, where you need to explain to the board why what has been budget is sometimes very far from the reality, unfortunately. With tools like a doc management solution, as soon as you start editing a budget, when will come the real data, automatically the budget will be recalculated. And first, at the beginning, whatever will be the assumption, what we are publishing as a cost image is very close to reality, with the type of aircraft, the country deserved, the airport deserved, because already we have all the data in the platform. So of course we will make some assumption in the aircraft type, for example, in the load factor of the plane. We cannot know in 6 months in advance what will be the exact number of passengers, what will be the exact number of adult and child, and so on. So the tax calculation, for example, will certainly vary because the real number will be different. But at least all the numbers from the different country, from the different airport will be right, because they are the one who are the current, which is the current pricing applicable to this new route. So that's really something very, very powerful. The budget exercise is much faster and really accurate when you are issuing the number. It will not vary much, and as soon as you get real data, it will be automatically recalculated by the tools. Centralization of the teams and centralization of the contract, for example. We are seeing many airlines in Africa, outside Africa, where many contracts are not centralized. Sometimes it's very difficult for the head office to have even an exact copy or the last copy received by the teams. That's first, that's making it particularly impossible to control the invoice because you don't have the last pricing. So whatever you are calculating will be false because you don't have the pricing which will be used by the provider. So that's certainly, it's a quick win, but very powerful to improve the productivity of the team. Receiving all the invoice in a central point, will reduce the processing time. You all know that also that some provider will have in their contract a delay to be paid and to be processed. If you are receiving the invoice outside, sometimes it's taking time. The day they come to be paid in central, it's already too late, and you have an overcharge of 10%, 15% because you are just late to handle them. So, when you are receiving all the invoice in a central point, you can start making some priority in the management of all the invoice to be sure that at least you are not paying some penalties when processing the invoice. And of course, when you are getting all the invoice in the central point, if you have the tools, all the invoice will be processed the same way with no exception. And you will try to make as much as possible the automatization of those type of invoice. So really, the same tools will be used by a specialized team who will be really accurate on doing this type of job in the airline. Finally, we are coming to what the people will remember, certainly, what are the potential savings. I will just add before going to that number, is that when you talk to airline who have used a cost management solution, for them, that number will become a standard number. At the beginning, of course, it's a big number and everyone is happy to save money. Then you will see that very quickly after some years, it becomes normal to save 1% of your docs because you have a solution making it particularly automatically with your team. The biggest impact reported by airline is the way it has helped to make the finance process much easier, much more centralized, providing real data to feed other solutions. And this has no price, very difficult to estimate. But when it comes to the management of the airline, this is certainly the biggest step added by a cost management solution. But of course, the savings are paying by far the solution. That's the first good news. And secondly, it's always better to pay exactly what is due than to pay the mistakes or potential fraud. So you can see on the screen that tools like KEOPS, cost management solution, will generate a saving between 0.5, which is recognized by IATA, by big airline like Air France, KLM, as the minimum, and which will become the standard, up to 2.5% of saving of your total docs. So to give you an example and the figures for you to have an image, every 10 aircraft in operation per year with 0.5% of your docs will save $1 million per year. So if it is 1%, which is roughly what we are getting, I would say certainly in Africa, which should be the normal number, every 10 aircraft in operation, you should claim 2 million every year of potential saving. So that's a good reference for the one who will have the figure of their own airline. First question is certainly to ask yourself, how much are we claiming every year? And where do we fit versus this number? So remember, 2 million every 10 aircraft in the air, that's representing 1% saving, which should be the minimum to be claimed at least per year. We will see that on this number claim, you will see with Ramzi and the real example of Nouvelle Air that they are claiming around 1% and they are getting, I think it's close to 0.9% paid by the provider. So which means that the claims are very well documented and were justified and paid and credited back by the provider to the airline. Finally, the analytics. So this type of report will be able to be received by any level in the airline. Of course, the team who will handle the management of the invoice, but up to the top management of the airline, the CFO, the CXO, and I'm sure this type of report will have a lot of interest at all levels. On the screen, you have a screen which is showing the detail for the airport and ground handling charge, for example. And you can have a rough image and idea of what has been saved on each scope in the airport. So you have the name on the screen, airport charge, handling charge, loan charge, and so on. So you can see what is reported here is the claim. So the mistake found by the tools. So you can see the number of invoice, the percentage of claims. So here we are 2.53%, which is quite high. So that's an interesting report. Of course, the KPI are multiple. You know, we have a lot of type of reports, and every time we start implementing a new customer, of course, the customer are asking a specialized report or customized report, which we are building for them. And some reports are only sent to the top management. Some reports are concerned by the teams who is managing that. We can have the number of invoice processed per staff, per day, there are a lot of type of reports. Here you can see on the screen where and who is the bad guys and the good guys. That's quite interesting sometimes when, for example, to come back to the previous question, when you are negotiating your contract with some provider, you will know exactly how much claim you could have generated for this specific provider. So you will know if this guy is fitting you well or certainly there are some improvement to be made. And we can go down to any type of details. And finally here, that's something quite interesting perhaps for the scheduling team, where you can estimate the cost depending on the type of aircraft you will be using to serve the same route. Of course, you can benchmark different airports using different type of aircraft. So that's something very powerful. And you know, I've been in that position, and when I was doing it, you know, we were doing a lot of betting and assumption. We're saying, okay, let's take 20% more. Here we are able to go down to the dollar level. So you can imagine that that's much more powerful, giving you the exact image of the cost. So that's the I think we will cover that, Paul, a bit later on. That's it for Maureva presentation on our side. I think the last part will be handled by the testimonial of Ramzi for Nouvelle Air, and we'll take the question at the end to avoid losing too much time.
Okay, thank you, Jean-Marc. So do you suggest we keep the questions on hold until after Fazzi, or you want to take them now?
No, we'll take it after. Okay. This poll can be done after Fazzi presentation, I think.
Okay, because we have quite a number of questions on the Q&A tab as well on the chat. So ladies and gentlemen, keep your questions on standby as we continue to have the presentation. You can keep the questions coming in, and then we'll address them after the case study by Nouvelle AirTunisie. So you can stop sharing your screen, Jean-Marc, so that
Yes,
Fazzi
sorry.
can share his screen.
Ramzi, your floor is yours.
Yes,
Okay,
the next
thanks.
presentation is a use case from Nouvelle AirTunisie, who will give us the experience, what it means on the bottom line, and then we will take the open forum. So Ramzi Fazzi, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you very much. Before starting the presentation, thank you for this opportunity. So I will try now to share our experience about with CubeCC. So I will go to the presentation. Sorry. Okay, so you see my screen, huh?
Yes.
Yes. So I will try to present our experience with CubeCC. The agenda will include a quick introduction. After we will present the story and context of CubeCC project. We will add more detail how it is selected and implemented CubeCC. And after, we will try to present the system feature and impact of CubeCC on our process, our cost, and our productivity. And at the end, I will present the future and the innovation of the new version of CubeCC. And finally, we will present our conclusion. And if you have any other question or any question, I will be able to respond. So, the introduction. So I will first present Nouvelle Air. Nouvelle Air, founded in '89, is Tunisia's first private airline. So we are private. We operate over more than 30 countries. We have more than 35 years of commitment to quality, safety, comfort, and passenger satisfaction. So our group, we have 5 subsidiaries in the group. We have the core Nouvelle Air France for the sales, Nouvelle Air Handling, and Aero TDS is our IT subsidiary, and of course Sabina Techniques, our MRO. So our main or the power of Nouvelle Air is the fleet. We have 15 aircraft Airbus Neo and normal Airbus 320. We are certificated ISO, IOSA. We have a modern and efficient fleet. So this is summary about Nouvelle Air. We go now at the cost control. So for us, the cost control is strategic, is a strategic priority. We operate in a high competitive environment. So we are private airline. So where accuracy, efficiency, and transparency are essential to survive. So the manual process limited our ability to control costs effectively, optimize resources, and make timely data-driven decision. So that's why That's why our vision is to adopt a digital and automated and innovation solution, fully integrated with our, of course, financial system, and of course, with our operational system. That's why we have selected CubeCC as modern platform, ensuring the proactive direct cost management. So this is a quick presentation of our vision. So we will try now to get an idea about the story, because CubeCC is not a new project or not a new solution for us. So we have used it. We have a long experience with Cubes system. So since 98, Nouvelle Air has used Cubes, and the cost control and quotation is one of the model included in the old Cubes. So this solution was provided by AFRAA France in first step, but after it was acquired by Airbus and XLM and by Maureva. So in 2017, Nouvelle Air IT team partnered with XLM to rebuild the CubeCC module in new technology. After in 2018, CubeCC was adopted by the Air France KLM group. So this is the first using or implementation of the new product CubeCC. And after in 2020, Maureva acquired CubeCC. So from this date until now, Maureva enhanced, make it a big challenge in CubeCC with the new technology, with the new feature, and enhanced and the reliability. In 2023, Nouvelle Air completed the migration from the old Cubes to CubeCC, upgrading its cost control capability. So this is the history. So CubeCC is matured solution. So this is just to get an idea very quick. This is the new challenge provided by Maureva in CubeCC. So we have a new technology. We have electronic invoices integration. We have XLM and API interfaces. We have commercial quotation module. We have automated processing. We have sophisticated contract configuration. We have a new service, tariff management service, automated alert, budget and simulation, and dashboarding, and structured interfaces with ERP, with operation, with all our information system. So now I will present our experience, why CubeCC was selected and implemented, how it is implemented in Nouvelle Air. So the selection of CubeCC was started in 2022. So after the end life of the old Cubes, Nouvelle Air launched a structured migration process, included the preparation of RFP with detailed requirement, technical. After we have proceeded with technical and financial evaluation, and we have selected CubeCC. Why CubeCC? CubeCC because it's the best of the solution existing on the market in terms of technical and financial. And we are happy with this migration. It was in 2023. We have successful migration, driving efficiency and innovation in cost control. So the keys to project success are: first, Nouvelle Air and AFRAA expertise in business and in project management. Solution we have maturity solution. So after 27 years, it's stable, include all the required feature. So we have also project management capability from Maureva, and of course the reactivity of Maureva. If you have any issue or any problem, so it will be solved immediately by Maureva. We have also the agility approach. So in Nouvelle Air, our approach is and the project management is the agility. So we go step by step. So we cannot open all the door on the same time. So that's why the end we have successful migration. Okay. So we go now to the impact of this migration on Nouvelle Air, the feature, the impact of this migration on our business and our costs and our process. So I will give you some key, some indicator. So we have currently more than 8,000 invoices by year. So the rejection rate is now 1%. We have more than 250 active vendors. We have more than 45 airports managed by Nouvelle Air. We have, so to manage all this, we have 5 controllers, and everything is centralized, and just one specialist ensuring structured and updated cost database. And we have 85% automated workflow for invoicing, matching, validation, alerts, etc. With, of course, a fully integrated solution with our ERP financial system, with our flight ops, with Lido Flight, with all the fuel system, the data warehouse, our data warehouse, etc. So now I will try to present the key takeaways. So finally, we have fully digital cost control system, less manual work, faster processing, reliable financial insights, scalable and adaptable solution, and of course, immediate return on investment. This is the reality. I will present some information to prove this. So we have staff, in terms of staff productivity, we have increased our productivity in cost control, agreement and accounting and reporting more than 25%. So more than 25% productivity is very important. So we have also a cost of very important cost optimization. So the total cost managed currently in QPCC is 350 million euro. So our claim made are 3.50 million euro. represent 1% of the total management costs. So the claim paid, when we say the claim paid is benefit, is the optimization. So we have 3.05 million, or 87% of the claim are covered by Nouvelle Air. So the reject rate in terms of rejected invoice or invoice with rejects is 14%. The rejected accepted by the provider is 70%. So when we see this case, this KPI, we understand that the return on investment is immediate ROE. So that's why you know, I give you one example. The invoice of Eurocontrol before the integration of the system, we passed more than 1 day, maybe between 1 and 2 days to complete this, to control this invoice. Now, at max between 1 hour and 2 hours, it will be controlled. Just a sample example. So the invoice will be integrated automatically and controlled automatically. Just some check to be need to be done by the controller. So after I will present the importance of QPCC in terms of data. So the data is used or is a key driver of flight profitability and financial insight. So we cannot calculate the profitability without cost, direct cost data. So, and we cannot prepare our operating account, monthly operating account without this data. This data is reliable and structured information. It's very important, and for all our operation and our management and decision. So it is also used and centralized in our data warehouse, which centralize all the data from all the system. So also this data is used for the dashboarding. And also, we are now going to the financial intelligence. So with this data, we are able to get the good strategic decision with the necessary traceability and with in the good time. So this is very important to note. Now, I will try very quick because I think Mr. Jean-Marc has already presented the main feature of QPCC. So with QPCC, we are able to optimizing staffing, contracting. We are able to manage our contracting and pricing. We are able to manage our cost control budget, our dashboarding. All the interfaces are automated. The quotation is necessary. We use it to proceed with the sales. Without, we have minimized the error the maximum possible. So we have automated workflow and the reconciliation reduce error. So this is in terms of feature of impact, and the benefit, the key benefit is efficiency, reliability, and precision. The integration, proactive, so and strategic focus on analytic optimization rather than a repetitive task. So this is our Nouvelle Air experience, the real experience, not commercial, or it's a real experience. So what about the future of QFCC? So I have already exchanged with Maureva. So we see that the future, the hand of QFCC. So there is QFCC new technologic perspective and digital transformation vision, which include the cloud and the SaaS migration, the mobility and web. So the new version will include web-based interfaces with UX, UI modern interfaces. They have already prepared some use cases with the artificial intelligence. They have included also the data science, the BI dashboarding in real time. They have also included the managed service for the cost control and the tariff management for our airline, which can optimizing the operational efficiency of the airlines. So the lesson learned from experience of Nouvelle Air experience. So our experience, from our experience, we recommend that the selection of any cost control must be structured. Selection ensure alignment with business needs and future trends. So we need also a cross-functional collaboration with provider and the airline, and we need also to manage this change, because it's we need a sponsor, a main sponsor for this project to be succeed. So we need also to select one provider, reactive provider, drive timely and effective delivery. We need to get an agility approach, and we are specialists on this agility. All our projects are managed by the agility approach. It enable faster adaptation and to evolving operational requirement. We need also, of course, the business expertise mastery, ensure relevance and accuracy in solution design. And any solution must be must continuous with innovation. So without innovation, we cannot guarantee the future. This is our recommendation based on our experience in QFCC and also in the other project. So in conclusion, from QOPS EFR 98 to QOPS CC today, Nouvelle Air and Maureva have transformed direct cost control into a strategic and digital and innovative capability. So powered by Maureva, the CubeCC solution can transform the digital transformation, can be the strategic digital transformation of the CubeCC, the cost control process. So it will include the data science, the intelligence artificial, the web, the new interfaces with the mobility, BI. So I think CubeCC is the best solution. I am not commercial, but I see that CubeCC currently is the best solution for the future. So this successful collaboration trusted how a trusted partnership with Maureva deliver measurable value and efficiency. So I think that our experience can be prove the capability of CubeCC and prove that CubeCC is also will be the future of improvement any cost control process. So this summarize our experience. So before CubeCC, we have high operational costs. After CubeCC, we have optimized cost and optimized process. So this is our conclusion. Thank you very much. Thank you for attention. I am happy to take any question. This is my contact. If you need any information or assistance or any help, I will be available to reply on your question. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ramzi, for that presentation to share the experience of Nouvelle Air. And indeed, it's really good to see the details of the actual savings and the benefits that your airline has gotten. Indeed, it's actually a worthwhile solution to have in place. So I want to request Jean-Marc and Dana, how do you wish for us to progress? We see that on the Q&A tab, Jean-Marc, you have already responded to the questions, but it was on an individual basis. While we have a couple of questions still open on the chat box, and our time, we have burst our time. So Jean-Marc and Dana, how do you wish us to proceed?
I think we can take the question who are not answered yet.
Mm-hmm.
And if there are any others, can be asked either via the chat or I think we have answered to many of them already in the box. I'm looking the one.
There's one from Ignace, Kenya Airways, who asks, currently there's a challenge to track DOC invoices in isolation to SIS. Is there any correspondence with SIS to have service charge type for all invoices billed for ease of track?
Yeah, I think KQ is a bit advanced on the subject because they are currently in the process of implementing the solution. So yes, there are always discussion with SIS. We are in very close contact with Bruno, the owner of the SIS group in IATA. So yes, there are exchange in with IATA and Bruno. Certainly, we will be able to come back to Ignace on this specific subject. I need to check with Florian with our product manager. Really, that's the detail of the message with IATA SIS. So for the one who don't know, SIS is the electronic format, which IATA is trying to push to have a common standard for all the finance exchange touching an invoice in the airline industry. So many airports, many big airlines have adopted it. So, for example, when you come to Charles de Gaulle in Paris, either you will get a PDF format as an invoice, or if you ask, you can receive directly an electronic invoice using the SIS format. There are some other formats in the market. The good news is that whatever is the format, we are able to work. For example, Eurocontrol is having his own format, and there are other big providers who are having their own format, which we do support already. But
Okay.
yes, there are evolution to come in the format before it becomes a standard widely accepted.
Thank you. And another one, which is still open, from Alex Odwong from Uganda Airlines. Will it address all tax obligations across the various jurisdictions?
Yes. So again, that's a good news. We do take all the tax per country. So you all know that all our country manager and government are very creative when it comes to tax. And unfortunately, the airlines are one of their favorite subjects. So yes, we do support and load any tax concerning any services provided at the airport per passenger and so on, for security, for fuel, there is a big list, and we do maintain it in the database. So yes, there is no surprise, and as soon that there is a new one, we are uploading it and maintaining it in the database.
Okay, thank you. And the other one is for you, Ramzi. And the question is regarding your experience with the KIOPS version before and the after. So what's your experience in terms of the before and after? You're on mute, Ramzi.
Sorry. So our experience is reflected on the optimization. So we see that we have optimized more than 3 million euro. So we see also that we have more productivity. So we have 25% more productive our team. So it's you know, for me, I cannot believe that one airline work without cost control system. I don't know, because when the first days for me in Nouvelle Air is the starting of using the cost control system. So for us, the cost control system is necessary. And we are private airline, so we need to optimize our cost. So, of course, Maureva, it's good team, reactive team, and manage the project correctly. So that's why we have succeeded without any issue. We have long background, and we have the expertise of our team and Maureva team. Okay, this is the conclusion of our experience.
Okay.
I think I will add that Nouvelle Air, is a very good example for the African continent. It's not because they are using Maureva, it's because they are using a cost control solution. If you look their size, it's really something in the middle of the size of the airline in Africa. 15 aircraft. You saw the number of destinations and so on. They are private, so that's really key. Any dollars count. You cannot think that the government will reinject some million at the end of the year. We all know that's always an issue one day. And they are using a solution to manage their costs and to verify all their invoice without exception. So their process has been quite long. You saw that they started quite early in the process. But now, as Ramzi is saying, it becomes a new standard. They start from that level, knowing that whatever happened, we know that the tools will look at the veracity of the invoice. So when you have to do the same work manually, honestly, like Ramzi is saying, and particularly, it's sure you cannot control all the invoice completely. That's the fact. Not because the people are not enough, not because they are not enough qualified. It's impossible. It's just a fact.
Yes, I approve. Yes.
Yeah, and then closely related to the response that you've given, Jean-Marc, there's someone who's asking, they just want to establish what size of airline operations is recommended to an airline to start using a DOC management solution. So the question is, what number of invoices or number of aircraft or level of spending for an airline is considered ideal for introducing this kind of system?
For me, there is no size limit. Our smallest customer is having 2 aircraft in Africa. So up to the biggest, which is Air France KLM, with close to 800 aircraft. So, but when you have 2 aircraft, if you can save 150, $200,000 or euro per year, for your size of airline, that's important because that still represents 0.5% of your cost. If we take and smaller the airline are, I think the closer they will be around 1% and over. 1% saving will means for 2 aircraft a saving of $400,000 per year. So I cannot think that avoiding saving this type of money for an airline with 2 aircraft is not important. Certainly, there is an issue when it comes to the people who are doing it. I know that in small airline, it might be difficult to find at the beginning the qualified staff, and the process would be longer. And certainly, that's also the right time to talk about outsourcing part of the service. And we have developed, copying what we were doing on the revenue accounting side, a service center out of Mauritius, where we are able to process the invoice for the airline. And that's certainly a model which can be discussed with the airline, and it can be taken by step. And we can even find a model where it can be a kind of hybrid solution, where a part of the work is done by Maureva, a part of the work is done by the airline. The idea is to have the full process in place one day, and don't think that you can implement everything in one shot. It will be step by step, module by module. Every module in function and activity will start saving money. So that's the final goal. You cannot make in one shot everything, but and what Ramzi was saying also, which is for us very important, is the support of the management of the airline. If we have the support from the top, everyone, every people like us, we are always reluctant to change. So if I'm doing something like this today, why should I change? What will be the impact for me, and so on? The final goal has to be fixed by the management and push gradually, fixing what will be the final goal to reach. And certainly that's helping a lot to deploy a solution like that, will change completely the process, the financial process for the airline. But to come back to the question, there is no size, from 2 aircraft to the big carrier. Kenya Airways, which is in the floor, they are in the process of making it. I think the hope is great, and I think that's normal.
Yeah. So it's not a nice to have, it's a must have.
Yes. For our case, we have started using the cost control system when we have the past 3 aircraft. And now we have, so as explained by Jean-Marc, there is no limit, not related. Even with one aircraft, it's better to deploy and implement a cost control system. So this is our opinion.
Thank you very much for clarifying that. It's a must-have, not a nice-to-have.
Yes,
The next question, will be for AFRAA, and this one I'll address it to the Secretary General. The question comes from Udeme Ezekiel, and it's not directly related to our subject today. So Ezekiel asks, even though not a DOC element, financing cost is a major cost area affecting African airlines. Is AFRAA considering any succor in this regard or any actions in this regard? Abdirahman?
Is it about airline financing in terms of
Yes.
fleet and all those things? Yes, it's a big subject. Yes, access to finance is difficult for our member airlines. And we are in contact with some of the financial institutions to see what kind of solution they can put on the table. The challenge for them is to be sure that when they give a loan to an airline, they can pay back the loan. So we have been discussing to see how AFRAA can make a kind of pre-audit and make a recommendation to the financial institution to comfort them, because most of them are not have no expertise in the area of airlines management, so it's difficult for them to make some kind of decisions. So that's what I can say today. We don't have yet a solution, but it's part of our discussions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So keep following our AFRAA channels. When we have the announcements on various initiatives, we definitely will keep you posted. And I think there's one more question which is directly related to KIOPS and communication with other systems. This one is from Ahmed Hamiti Air Algeria, who asks, if an airline has got an existing DOC management system and they want to migrate to KIOPS, how does that integration work? Is it easy? Is it a difficult process?
From what I'm seeing from the question from Ahmed, I will say that Amos is more on the maintenance side of the aircraft. And for time being, KIOPS is not managing the maintenance side. We're able to inject number coming from maintenance solution when it comes to integrate all the costs for the airline, for the profitability. That can be another seminar for the future, or to project route profitability, for example, and you do need to integrate all type of costs, including, of course, the maintenance. But for time being, Amos is or any maintenance solution are not audited by KIOPS, and KIOPS is not able to audit all the maintenance side. So that might be something for the future, but for time being, we don't handle the scope of maintenance.
Okay. Thank you for that. And we have someone who would like to ask their question live. Makole Odesika.
Please.
Your hand has been up for some time, so we have enabled your microphone, so you can unmute and ask your question live. That's Makole Adesika. Oh, sorry, Odesika. Yes, you're unmuted. Ask your question. I seem to have some technical issues. So I think at this point we can wrap up the webinar. We will be sharing the slides with all participants at the after the webinar, as well as the recording. This shall be posted on AFRAA YouTube channel for those who wish to go and listen back or share with your colleagues, as well as also if you want to reach out to our colleagues from Maureva, the contacts shall be put on the slides so that you can do your bilateral engagements. And our team will come back to those of you who we may not have addressed the questions. We shall do that via email to ensure that any question, comments, issues that you wanted to engage with Maureva have been addressed. At this point in time, I wish to thank our colleagues from Maureva and Nouvelle AirTunisie for doing this webinar with us, sharing, and we do hope that you got some useful information that you can implement for your airline. And from my side at AFRAA, I want to personally thank Jean-Marc and Dana for working with us to build this together, and for your engagement with Nouvelle AirTunisie. I know it's not really easy, and want to welcome Jean-Marc. If you want to do some closing remarks on your end before we can close the webinar.
Big thanks, Maureen, for inviting us to talk. I think it's much bigger than Maureva subject. It's how to improve the cost management for all the African carrier. We saw that, unfortunately, the continent is a bit behind. There are still a lot of things, and if we can help, we are more than happy. You know, it's a subject close to my heart. So we will be there also attending the AFRAA IGA in Luanda in November. So if you are around, come to us. Dana and myself would be around. We are ready to answer to any question after the call. If you want to engage on the subject, we are there. I think thank you again, and big thanks to Ramzi. I know it's not easy to ask someone who has to handle all the IT side to be there and to talk about our solution. So big thanks for that. I know you spend a lot of time on top of your work. So again, un grand merci.
Thank you very much. And speaking of the AFRAA Annual General Assembly, we want to inform our participants that we are preparing for a very exciting, very memorable AGA this year, 30th November to 2nd December in Luanda, Angola, with our colleagues from TAG Angola Airlines. This year's AGA is being held under the patronage of the government of Angola. We have put in place some very exciting programs for the activities. We have social events, networking, and for the discussions, the program has got very informative and insightful sessions, which will be of interest for you to come and participate in. For those of you who are yet to register and you are keen to join us for this event, the link has been posted or will be posted on the chat box by my colleagues. You can register and we meet you in Angola. We have negotiated very interesting rates for the tickets and for the accommodation, and Luanda is ready to welcome all of you. So see you in Luanda for those who meet us in Luanda, and see you at our next webinar for those who patronize our various webinars. From the AFRAA Secretariat, it's a goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye to everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.